Yeah, JDS, I'd like to draw your attention to the mini-map for a moment. If you'll notice this creep highway, it goes straight to the Protoss base. Often Zerg players play quite defensively, and they put their creep highway um, horizontally across, and they'll expand, outward. But this Protoss player, the great Fruit Singer, is just being extremely aggressive, building his expansions towards his opponent, and moving these queens out in a ridiculous way.
Yeah, I mean, this was a single-minded build. It did seem kind of crazy to us at first, but this build had the intention of just bringing this massive, beefy queen. Jeez, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, those queens are going to be queefing out some more creepers any minute now.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll nickname that build. Geez, I don't know what I got on the brain, but these queens single-mindedly just bowling their way to the front of the Protoss base with these clumped tumors spreading the creep all the way around. And Fruitseller had a vision for this build, and he has executed it with great precision here. Gonna encounter a little bit of resistance here at the choke point to the main base, but you got to figure as soon as those force fields go down, the Zerglings are going to be able to rush in here and occupy all the cracks and crevices in here and really do some damage to the Protoss.
Excuse me. Yeah, you'll notice these spine crawlers beautifully placed outside the base, but it looks like they're now just out of range of all the buildings at the top. Fruitseller will probably unburrow them. Nope, he's instead going to move in with his queens at the bottom of the ramp and try to fight this army. Not sure about that decision. But he's got to regroup here. Fruitseller is running out of queens. His Zerglings are way in the back, not doing anything.
Yeah, still making queens. 11 on the board, 2 on the way right now. Spine crawlers, one of them nearly dead, but still quite a few of them surviving. Trying to reposition them. Actually, healing the spine crawlers with the queens. That is pretty nifty right there.
Yeah, absolutely. The spine crawlers are just as integral as any other unit on the map here, and the queens are taking care of them as they would their own brothers and sisters.
Colossus coming out now in great numbers, 4 of them on the board, 2 more of them on the way, and they are really keeping the Protoss in the game right now, pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. These Colossus are a total counter to this build. These queens can't really fight these Colossi. The queens don't do enough damage to them. The Zerglings will easily be shredded by Colossi, and the Protoss is still taking a defensive position. These Colossi up on the ramp are just highly defensive, highly strong against this Zergling and Queen force. These Zerglings will be easily kept out by sentries if they try to run by, and the Queens have almost all been destroyed by now at the front lines, but there will be 8 more coming out.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Colossi have the range on the spine crawlers, which is the most important thing I think right now for the Protoss. The Fruitseller just not able to push that front line as he was before with the tumor clump, and allowing these Colossi to be built was maybe a mistake for Fruitseller, but the Zerglings are going to get in the back, going to take down 1 Colossus, going to take down 2 Colossi. Can the third one go down? No, the third one's going to survive as 2 of them come to reinforce, and I think the Zerg forces. But look at this, Fruitseller now converting very quickly to roaches, seeing that the Protoss has stemmed the tide of the Queens, and a new strategy for him. Going to be roaches. Looks like he's just going to run his queens in and try to do as much damage to these injured Colossi. Going to take one of them down, but still 3 on the board. 3 doing a tremendous amount of damage to this front line of Zerg. And let's see where Fruitseller kind of diverts his attention, diverts his army, and kind of renegotiates this Protoss problem of his.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I've been looking around Fruitseller's base, and it doesn't look like he has a Spire right now. But every Zerg will tell you that you need to start pumping out Corruptors if you're up against this many Colossi. And Fruitseller is not taking that technique. He is sticking with Queens and Roaches and Zerglings, and I really think some Corruptors rather would be an essential addition to this army at this point.
So in your opinion, Roaches won't be enough to take this down. Definitely got to see some air here from Fruitseller, unless he comes up with something we've never seen before, and that definitely seems to be his MO, trying to run his Zerglings around and block off the retreat of the Protoss. Expertly done there by Fruitseller. A lot of these Stalkers going to go down. The Colossi actually going to survive, but great maneuvering there from the Zerglings, knowing that the Zerglings are expendable. using them more to slow the Protoss down with more beefier units, and I really like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those fast Zerglings are all about tactics. They don't really do much damage, but they can block units off perfectly.
A back and forth kind of a samba dance here between these two players. The creep now effectively gone from the front of the Protoss base. The Queens more or less slowed down, and I think the Protoss knows that. Going to try to hunt them down as they're slowed. Going to take one Queen down. Going to press his advantage. Going to try maybe to take a front line of his own and put some pressure on the Zerg bases. But no, he's going to retreat for now, regroup, or maybe he's just taking a different path to the Zerg base. This is going to run him straight into a block of roaches, though. Would have liked to see him come over to the other side, but I think he wanted to avoid that ramp.
Yeah, that ramp is definitely a good place to avoid right now, and he's now going to collide with a bunch of Queens, and here come all the Zerglings running around the back again.
Two clever force fields there as the Protoss retreat, gonna force these Zerglings to take an extra second to get around there, and force Fruitdealer to leave his Zerglings slightly exposed there. A few of them going down, and Zerg just wasn't able to exert any authority on that Protoss force, and amazing to see like how even two force fields can divert that much travel time for units and give you that much of an advantage. You don't necessarily have to completely block, and I think both these players playing very positionally, playing very tactically with their units, and I just love what I'm seeing right now. A little misstep there from Fruitdealer. The Zergling's just going to get burned down.
Yeah, those Zerglings really didn't do a damn thing. It looks like he was, I guess he's trying to do some run behinds, but, you know, this expansion is already dead.
Yeah, I think he wants to see if this second expansion is up, and indeed it is. He will see that the Protoss is still getting minerals.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, if all those Zerglings hadn't been killed before, if all 30 of them have made it into this expansion, they would have taken down these probes, but these probes able to defend themselves against the mere 3 Zerglings that got into the base.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that I think it initially was a misstep by Fruitdealer, and then he realized, oh my God, I'm losing these Zerglings. What can I do with them? What can I do to get some use out of them? And then ran whatever he could over to the expansion to see what was going on. Had he been, you know, single-minded about bringing all the Zerglings to the back, I agree with you, Baeus. That might have been a bit of a masterstroke there that the Protoss wasn't expecting. Right now, Fruitdealer getting another expansion. Looks like the Protoss has a mind to get another expansion as well. Possibly this gold expansion over here to the left of his base.
Yeah, it's going to be the gold, but, you know, right now the Zerg is way ahead. He just jumped up to 1,500 minerals income, and, you know, his army is also... Their armies are about even, so this Zerg is going to be able to quickly rejuvenate his army should he lose units. I would be afraid of the Zerg right now.
Yeah, absolutely, but as far as army composition goes, the advantage is way in favor of the Protoss as far as mineral and gas composition of the armies now. So the Zerg will have to watch out and make sure that he's still in the game to be able to use those minerals to reinforce and to change strategies. Roach Warren going down now for Fruitdealer, and that is not a good thing to see for him.
Yeah, looking at this army tab here, I have a feeling the Queens are not considered part of the army.
Oh, you may be right. That actually is good.
There's only 1,100 army here, and these Queens are worth at least 150 minerals each. But I guess they aren't meant to contribute to the army, so they aren't being.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a mistake on my part. The Queens don't contribute to that number. That's a little short up right now. But like I said, these Colossi just really taking a toll on the strategy here by Fruitdealer, and you know, I think I agree with you that had he converted to corruptors, you know, it might have proved different, but you know, he had already made such a huge investment in the army that he had. It's often proves difficult for players to make such a drastic switch. But,
yeah, well, that Queen strategy, you know, like, it seems to me like an early game strategy. Later on throughout the game, I'm not sure if it remains as viable. It seemed here in this game, particularly against these four Colossi, and I think it was about four Colossi that the Protoss had the entire game, but it was just too much for those queens to handle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great decision for the Protoss to bring these Colossi, to continue making sentries, to switch most of his ground army to Stalkers, to give it that mobility to kind of bounce back and forth, the dance that they were doing back and forth. But the Colossi eventually too powerful, and Fruitdealer more or less just kind of failed to recognize the threat of the Colossi, thought that he would more or less be able to handle it with his front positioning, lost a lot of money rebuilding spine crawlers that got destroyed to no avail. A lot of minerals spent there on that front line that was eventually just totally vaporized. And I think had those minerals been quickly invested in a strategy switch, then maybe
Yeah,
we would have seen a
absolutely.
different outcome.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, spine crawlers are unable to hit Colossi when they have that range upgrade. So like you mentioned, spine crawler is entirely useless against Colossi in the late game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a terrific game in my opinion. Some really interesting strategy from Fruitdealer. You can see where his strategy started to develop. This game was, I think, about a week or so, maybe more than that, before the StarCraft Open actually, got into full swing. So, just
Yeah,
really
well,
interesting strategies, kind of the little one esque, and as far as Zerg is concerned, but pretty cool stuff. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about Fruitdealer in the future. Now that
yeah,
he's won.
absolutely. I mean, I just have to add that, good players don't always use the same strategy. They don't always win. There's nothing wrong with trying out new strategies. You probably aren't going to win when you try them out, but that's the only way you learn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the next time he encounters a Colossus build like this, I don't know if that actually took place in the StarCraft Open, but he probably would have known better and would have known how to handle it better, and just really clever stuff. Obviously, thinking on a whole other level, and just great, entertaining stuff. So, on behalf of myself, Jadius, Baeus, and the Wood League, we thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed these games featuring Fruitdealer, the GOM StarCraft Open Season 1 championship winner. And we'll see you folks next time.